Welcome to Part 2 of the Educational Models Project, Cooperative Learning, presented by Joanne Pfeiffer. Allow me to begin with a brief explanation of what cooperative learning is. According to an article prepared by the Office of Research from the U.S. Department of Education, cooperative learning is a successful teaching strategy in which small teams, each with students of different levels of ability, use a variety of learning activities to improve their understanding of a subject. Each member of a team is responsible not only for learning what is taught, but also for helping teammates learn, thus creating an atmosphere of achievement. I would first like to explore what teachers should do to incorporate cooperative learning. The following 5 steps were taken from the Science Education Resource Center at Carleton College. First of all, a teacher should plan prior to instruction. Prior planning helps to establish the specific cooperative learning technique to be used and lays the foundation for effective group work. Plan out how groups will be formed and structure how the members will interact with each other. Secondly, a teacher should introduce the activity to the students. Students need to get their marching orders. Explain the academic task to them and what the criteria are for success. Then structure the cooperative aspects of their work with special attention to the components of positive interdependence and individual accountability. Set up time limits and allow for clarifying questions. Thirdly, a teacher should monitor and intervene. This is where you let the groups run while you circulate through the room to collect observation data, see whether they understand the assignment, give immediate feedback, and praise for working together. If a group is having problems, you can intervene to help them get on the right track. Fourthly, a teacher should assess. Some informal assessment is already done while you are monitoring the groups during the exercise. However, once the group finishes their project, work should be assessed by both instructor and group. The fifth thing a teacher should do is allow for group process. Group processing involves asking the groups to rate their own performance and set goals for themselves to improve their cooperative work. Next, I will share some cooperative learning traps to avoid. These warnings come from an article by Arnold Lindbad entitled, "You Can Avoid the Traps of Cooperative Learning." The first trap to avoid is dealing with the emphasis on cooperation. Although cooperation is a very important lesson for students to master, it is also true that many of life's activities are based on individual effort. Because self-reliance is every bit as important a skill to master as cooperative relationships, good teachers will continue to emphasize the importance of individual effort and accountability at the same time that they use cooperative learning techniques. A second trap to avoid is in the grouping of students. There are 3 basic problems that arise in forming groups. One is personality clashes. Another is self-image problems, both those who are too low of their view of self and too high, and other variables such as attitudes toward each other, the level of work that has to be accomplished, and other things. Keep these dynamics in mind when grouping students. A third trap to avoid is group assignments. Traditional classes usually follow a sequence of teacher presentation, then individual student practice, followed by assessment. With cooperative learning, the group as a whole processes the concept or information presented by the teacher. As only the final product is graded, there is no way for the teacher to know which members of the group understood the concept. Perhaps the teacher should build checkpoints into the assignment to gauge individual understanding. A fourth trap to avoid is the assessment of the group effort. Although many teachers will indeed use a variety of instructional methods, the vast majority of school systems still require that grades be assigned to each student. Perhaps the use of rubrics to intentionally assess students in a group would help to combat this trap. Finally, allow me to share 10 tips for success from Dr. Spencer Kagan. 1. Never use group grades. 2. Inform and establish buy-in with parents, your principal, the PTA, and community members before transforming your classroom. 3. Do not assume social skills from students. Carefully structure for their acquisition. 4. Do not allow interaction which exceeds your management methodology. Create the will to work together via team building and class building before moving to academic tasks. 6. Begin with highly structured and brief cooperative tasks. Move slowly to unstructured and longer projects. 7. When you are ready for academic tasks, begin with tasks which are well within the capacity of even the lowest achiever. 8. Do not allow unstructured interaction until students have acquired both the will and the skills to work together. 9. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Begin with proven, structured student interaction strategies. 10. Take it slow. Make it easy on yourself and your students. Learn one new strategy well before attempting the next new strategy. In support of cooperative learning and collaboration, James Watson, co-discoverer of DNA, said, "Nothing new that is really interesting comes without collaboration." The information presented in this video was compiled from these resources.